So by now, everybody has seen, everything come out about the vice presidential debate, and it was fantastic. I got to tell you, I got to give credit to both guys. They did a hell of a job. This is how debates are supposed to be. So on that note, golf clap. They did a fantastic job on the debate. Both of them were very professional. Not a lot of mudslinging. You got some points you're going to argue, and that's just kind of how debates work. But they were both very professional. They were both very cordial, and that's how it should be at a debate. Reminds me of debates. It reminds me of the debates back in the the 70s and the 80s when people were civil. Nobody's civil anymore. The debates now, it's just a wrestling match, and I gotta admit, sometimes it's entertaining, sometimes it's not. But after the Donald Trump Kamala Harris debacle, it was actually nice to see Vance and Walz come up and do an actual debate. Get to the crux of the problem, the meat and potatoes, things we want to hear about, things we want to know about. Not just a bunch of people slinging stuff back and forth, which is what happened at the Trump-Kamala Harris debate. That one was actually embarrassing. I do think they should debate again, but I think they should only debate on Fox News. Liberal news networks have proven they're in the bag for Tim Walz and Kamala Harris. They should never be allowed to host another debate. They fact-checked Trump at the ABC debate. CBS said they were not going to do it, and son of a bitch, if they didn't turn right around and fact-check J.D. Vance, and they were wrong. Just like in the ABC debate, they were wrong. If you're going to fact-check somebody, you better know what the hell you're talking about, because now they just look like idiots. CBS and ABC both look like idiots. But getting started, right out of the gate, okay, the first line, now this is a little lie. This doesn't mean anything Tim Walz told. But he's talking about, we saw during the last debate when Donald Trump started talking about his crowd sizes. That was actually, I need a, do I have an button? No, but I got a done button. That was actually a lie, because it was Kamala Harris who started talking about Donald Trump's crowd sizes, and Donald Trump defended himself. Now you think, okay, dude, that's a little lie. What does that have anything to do with anything? What it has something to do with is it shows his ability and his willingness to lie right out of the gate. That was in the first question. He come out, bam, lie right out of the gate. So now let's get on to some bigger lies. That Tim Walz and Harris, they are blaming Donald Trump for the attack on Israel from Iran. The attack that happened the day of the vice presidential debate. Now let's get something very clear right now. Who's been president the last 4 years? Who's been in charge? It wasn't Donald Trump. When Donald Trump was in charge, we weren't having any problems out of Iran. He had so many sanctions on them, they could not breathe. What happens next? Kamala Harris and little Joey Biden lift those sanctions, giving them access to $10 billion, which they instantly start cranking up the terrorist machine again, which they did. And hence, the attack on Israel. This is 100% Kamala Harris and Joe Biden's fault. What's going on? Now we have Israel fighting a war on two fronts right now. Two fronts. And I got to tell you, the liberal-loving terrorists need to get in check. If we do not support Israel and we lose Israel to them, we will lose anything we have in the Middle East. And then it will be wide open hunting season on Americans from that point on. We must back Israel. We must defend Israel, because that whole region wants to kill us. And the only thing we have over there defending our rights is Israel. They're closer now than ever. They've never been as close to achieving a nuclear weapon. And do you think they will not launch that nuclear weapon? And how is this made possible? Because of Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. That's how this is made possible. That is a fact. You can read about it. So the problem we have with Iran, is Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, who are blaming this on Trump. Trump has not been president for 4 years. How is any of this Trump's fault? If you had not lifted the sanctions on Iran, we wouldn't be having this conversation. But you did. So little Timmy Walz lied about that right out of the gate. Next lie he told is that Trump's going to implement a 20% sales tax on all Americans through tariffs. Let's think about that for a minute. So when Donald Trump was president, he put tariffs on a lot of products coming into the country because it was coming into the country so cheap that it was becoming very, very hard for the American manufacturers to compete with the cheap goods coming in. So what does Donald Trump do? Levels the playing field, which is what any smart businessman or smart president would do. Unfortunately, we don't have one of those right now. So he puts tariffs on, kind of level the playing field a little bit. And the amazing thing is the prices pretty much stayed the same, even with the tariffs. Now, the government made a ton of money off of the tariffs. And the prices pretty much stayed the same. So now they're saying that with his tariffs, it's going to add a 20% increase, at least 20% to all goods. Let's think about that for a second. If that were true, then why did Kamala Harris and Joe Biden leave all of Trump's tariffs on? They didn't remove any of them. They left them. So how can you sit there and say that his tariffs are bad when you left every one of his tariffs in place? Again, liberal liars. And I hate that I'm having to go down this road because this isn't, I'm just tired of the lying from the left. I'm tired of the gaslighting. I'm tired of the don't believe your lying eyes. I'm just over it. I'm over it 100%. So I'm just going to start calling out the liberals on their lies and the Democrats. And now a lot of us are out there doing it, but honestly, when you have the entirety of the MSM pushing their agenda and their lies, our voices fall on deaf ears. But somebody has to stand up and try, so, for whatever my 2 cents is worth, it's my 2 cents. But that is another lie from little Timmy Walz. Okay, now moving on. Now, I really don't want to get into the abortion part of this yet, but as usual, Kamala Harris completely dodged the question on abortion. Are abortions allowed in the 7th, 8th, 9th month? She would not. She refused to answer that question. Timmy Walz was hit with that. He refused to answer that question. I'll circle back to abortion here in just a minute. Moving on. They said that the pro-life laws are killing people, and that is absolutely not true. Now, I copied this down so I can make sure I got this right. Okay, Tim Walz claimed that a Georgia resident, Amber Thurman, died from the state's abortion restriction. He said there's a young woman named Amber Thurman. She happened to be in Georgia, a restrictive state. She had to travel a long distance to North Carolina to try to get her care. Amber Thurman died in that journey back and forth. Okay, now the truth of this is that Thurman did die, but she died from the abortion pill. She did not die because of the restrictive states or the traveling, even though that's what Democrats want you to believe, because they push their lying narrative, and then people get on that bandwagon and start screaming and shouting about it. Pro-life laws, if she could have had the abortion in Georgia, she'd have been alive. When actually she died from the abortion pill. Now, the sad thing about this is liberals do not care about Americans at all. But they care about what happens to you when the bad thing happens. Case in point, she died from the abortion pill, something they widely support. But they're not going to tell you that. They're going to leave that little fundamental part out. Kind of like, you're at someplace in your gun-free zone where people like me are not allowed to carry our weapons in there. Some criminal walks in who doesn't really give a shit about gun laws, comes in there and starts mowing people down with an AR-15. They don't care that the people got killed. All they care about is they got killed with an AR-15 because that supports their narrative. That's all they care about. The Democrats will never let a disaster go to waste if it supports their narrative. Now, if that same guy had walked into that gun-free zone and started bashing people over the head with a shovel, Democrats, hell, it would never even be reported. Fox News would report on it. Excuse me. Couple of the right, channels would report on it. It might get a blip on MSNBC, CNN, ABC, nothing much. But if it's with an AR, that's all they're going to talk about for the next 3 days. Hypocrites. That's why I call them hypocrites. Another lie little Timmy Walz told is that border crossings are down. Well, they're down now. After 3.5 years of record highs, they're down now. And why are they down? What could be going on this year that would cause them to actually do something good for America? Maybe it's that pesky election, that little pesky election thing. Because what happened was some of Joe Biden's handlers, whispered in little Joey's ear, hey, Joe, open border's not polling well, dude. We got to do something. Close the border. Who's next? Who's next? Border got closed. Not closed, but stifled. We'll say the word stifled. But what about the 3.5 years prior to that? We have over 20 million illegals in the country. 300,000 lost kids. Don't know where they're at. They're just gone. They're gone. And JD said at Vance, they've been nabbed up and put in sex trafficking. They've been nabbed up and put into drug muling, which, Tim Walz instantly came out. Oh, that's not true. They have not been put into drug muling. Well, how do you know? How do you know? They're missing. How do you know they haven't been? Because that's exactly what they're doing. That is 100% what has happened to these kids. But they don't care about that. They don't care. Because if they cared about it, they would have shut the border down. Actually, if they cared about it, they would not have opened the border to begin with. But let's get something absolutely in line here. The border crossings were the lowest they had been in 40 years under Donald Trump. Over 20 million illegals have come into this country under Kamala Harris, Joe Biden. They only finally started to clamp down on the border when the election started to become an issue. And now they like to scream about their border bill. If they had passed that border bill, what about H.R. 22 that we put on your all's desk 2 years ago that would have absolutely shut down the border without all the spending the liberals love to do? Oh, we can't pass that. We got to have all of our pork. We got to be able to throw money and waste it on all kinds of good things. H.R. 22 would have achieved that very thing, which the Democrats shelved. But make no mistake about it, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden put out 96 executive orders to open the border back up. Had they not done that, there wouldn't be a border to even talk about. This wouldn't even be a topic. And had they not done that, chances are they probably would have run away with this election, because that has become the number one problem in America is the border. But they're so stupid, they brought all these people in here trying their best to give them driver's license so they can get them on the voters' roll, so they can start casting those votes for Kamala Harris. And that hasn't quite worked out as much as they wanted. And the never-ending disasters that America's going to hit because of this, we're just getting the brunt of it now. This is going to go on for years. For years. Don't even get me started on what's going on with FEMA right now in the hurricane. But this is going to go on for years. So that was an absolute lie that Timmy Walz told. Now, here's my favorite one. Trump is already working up. He's going to put his political adversaries in prison the day he gets elected. He's going to become the dictator, the true threat to democracy. Hello? Kettle, I'm black. Joe Biden and his corrupt DOJ and his corrupt FBI have done nothing but persecute Donald Trump, their political adversary, since the day Joe Biden got elected, without fail. This is unprecedented in American politics, what is happening to Donald Trump. And I'm going to tell you right now, I don't care what you say, Donald Trump is a man. Nobody could take what this guy has gone through. Hell, this has been going on for 9 years. Nobody could take this and still fight for the American people. That's how much Donald Trump loves this country. If that was a liberal, they would have folded years ago. Years ago, they would have folded. Those soy boys they got running around the Liberal Party, no way. They'd have been in a corner with their face down on their knees, crying and sobbing like a little girl. That's exactly what would happen. They have beat on this man. They've tried to break this man. They've tried to take his companies. They've tried to ruin him financially. They've shot at him twice. They have stuck him in lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit, and still he surges forth. That is a man. That's who you want running the country. The stark difference, Donald Trump, no new wars, pretty damn secure border, low taxes, under 3% mortgage rates, affordable housing, peace in the Middle East, the Abraham Accords. Joe Biden, 9.5% inflation. Last time I looked, overall inflation was still at 15%. Wars everywhere. Shit, everybody's invading everybody. I'm so pissed off, I might invade my neighbors just because I can. Because, hell, everybody's invading everybody. So I might as well just invade and take over my entire damn neighborhood by myself. One-man army. Trace the invader. Angry guy invades the neighborhood. That's going to be me. This is insane. 8% mortgages. They're getting ready to let the Donald Trump's tax cuts expire if Kamala Harris gets office. So it doesn't matter what your income level is. Your taxes are going up a minimum of 16%. Can you afford another 16% out of your pay? And forget the fact of all of her insane, absolutely insane tax policies. Who's going to pay for all this? And I can't remember where I wish I'd have made note of this, where she's giving the interview, and it was CNN, maybe MSNBC, I can't remember. And the lady says, well, what if you can't raise corporate taxes? And this is Kamala. Well, we got to raise corporate taxes. Okay, it's not what I asked you. How are you going to pay for this if you can't? Well, we gotta. She's an idiot. She's a complete idiot. It's amazing to me that she's made it this far. Absolutely amazing. But now they're saying, like I said, they're going to imprison, Trump's going to imprison his political adversaries. Well, I got to be honest. Some of these people need to be in prison. Mayorkas, boom, prison, gone. Terrible. Absolutely terrible at his job. Head of the FBI, gone, locked up. DOJ, gone, locked up. Fauci, gone, locked up. These people have done nothing but lie to the American people since Joe Biden's been in office. And they're so corrupt, it is not funny. The laptop's not real. The laptop's Russian disinformation. Then the trial starts, and guess what? Exhibit A is the laptop. Trump's a foreign agent. He's a foreign agent. The Steele dossier, foreign agent. Paid for by Hillary Clinton. Yeah, so if anybody is on the Russian payroll, it's obviously the Democrats. Because they seem to be working pretty tight with the Democrats to get Trump out of office. Who, by the way, Putin endorses Kamala Harris. Iran endorses Kamala Harris. That should tell you everything you need to know. But he lied and said that Donald Trump is going to persecute and put all of his people in jail. Everybody that stands up against him. And let's forget about all the people like the Donald Trump being, his house being 2 o'clock in the morning. FBI shows up, guns drawn at the Trump residence, guns drawn. Let's forget about all the people they've put in jail. Made a list here. Elderly pro-life protesters, they put in jail. Clergy, they've put in jail. The complete lack of due process for the January 6 prisoners. Give me a break. Christians, they've put in jail, calling them extremists. So they're saying Donald Trump's going to do the very thing that they're doing right now. But liberals do that. Whatever a liberal's complaining about that the right is doing, they're already doing it. Another lie. Kamala Harris is going to leave your guns alone. Are you kidding me? We've got this chick on record saying that she's coming after the guns. We've also got her on record saying, you know what, if that doesn't work, you can't stop us from coming in your house to make sure your guns are locked up. So let's get this straight. Kamala Harris was on that Oprah, whatever that was. Okay, first off, Kamala Harris does not own a gun. She doesn't even know what end the bullet comes out of. Let's be very clear about that. Second off, she says, if you come in my house, you're going to get shot. So if Kamala Harris and her ragtag team of corrupt politicians come banging on my door, busting through my door to make sure my guns are safe, unannounced, I shoot them, I go to prison. Think about that for a minute. Let's see. Oh, this is my favorite. Tim Walz says that he was in Hong Kong during the Tiananmen Square massacre. Liar, liar, pants on fire. He was not there. And this guy, he gets busted in every single lie. And he says, well, I misspoke. Tiananmen Square is history. You forgot you were there? Or you just assumed you were there? Don't you think you would know if you were there when that happened? Just like this guy, my weapon of war that I carried when I was in combat. Timmy, you were never in combat. You made it as far as Italy so you could sit and drink lattes while everybody else was over in combat. You've never been in combat. Donald Trump has seen more enemy fire in 2 months than you've seen your entire life. Liar. This guy, and this is my problem. Where were the the CBS moderators calling out all these lies? Now, they did bring this up and he did come up and say, well, I misspoke. Well, dude, everything you say, you misspoke. You've told so many lies that you've come back on and said, well, I misspoke. It's gotten ridiculous. And this guy is, and I guess this is my problem with it, is their willingness to lie about everything. And they never get called out on it until we come up and say, hey, whoa. This is absolutely not what happened. Let's be honest here. Okay, now let's move on. I'm going to try to speed this up a little bit. The Haitians in Springfield, Ohio, this is what they actually fact-checked J.D. Vance on, and they cut his mic. When he was trying to explain what is going on, they cut his mic. Absolutely juvenile, amateur, unprofessional move at CBS. They fact-checked him. They were wrong. He tried to defend himself, and they cut his mic, which he did after the debate. And guess what? Oops, he was right. Yeah, that's what happened there. If you're going to fact-check somebody, I'm going to say it again, you better make sure you know what you're talking about, because now CBS looks as stupid as ABC for fact-checking Donald Trump when he was right. They look like complete morons, but they lied about the Haitians in Ohio. Tim Walz lied about the Haitians in Ohio. Now, here's another big one. He lied about that Timmy Walz, and Kamala Harris are better for industry. Okay, I'm going to try to make this quick. That's a lie, because if that was true, then the Teamsters would be backing Kamala Harris, and she's the first Democrat nominee to lose that endorsement in how many years? I think since Reagan, maybe? Yeah. Yeah, that's one for the books. Then you have 60 to 65% of the Teamsters that are going to vote for Donald Trump. But let's get this straight, and I did write these numbers down so I could make sure that I was not talking out of line in case, all you liberals want to fact check me. Tim Walz says, I'm a union guy on this, and Kamala Harris, she created 250,000 manufacturing jobs. We're the best in the country for this. Nobody can do what we can do for the American worker, except Trump's obviously a union guy because most of the Teamsters are supporting Trump, and Trump actually created 510,000 manufacturing jobs. Oops. Again, that's a lie. Because either they didn't know the number, which means they're idiots. They're just going to talk about random figures without actually fact-checking themselves to make sure they don't look like idiots, or they did know the numbers, but they're going to say it anyway, knowing that the MSM is going to run with it, which they have. That's why they've talked about this the entire time Cammie's been debating about all the manufacturing jobs they've created. And Donald Trump actually created more. And it's kind of funny because they're, one of the arguments, off topic a little bit, is, when we talk about how bad America's doing, and America's doing very bad. Well, the stock market is booming. Thank you, Joe Biden, for the stock market. Okay, great. So the stock market's booming. The stock market's breaking records, as it does under every single president ever. And the next president, it will break all of these records. And the president after that, it will break all of those records, because that's what the stock market does. But let's get something straight. First off, just because the stock market is booming does not mean the economy is booming. And I'm going to explain to you liberal logic right here. All right? Under Donald Trump, candy bar cost $1. I've had to do this before, but I'm doing it again because apparently it didn't sink in. Under Joe Biden, that candy bar went to $3. They're polling badly, so they get the candy bar down to $2 and celebrate a victory. Woohoo! We got it down. It's down $1. Yeah, but it's still $1 higher than the last guy. The liberals are the only people I know that can create a problem, solve half the problem, and then claim a victory about that problem. It's mind-boggling to me. Mind-boggling to me. And kind of the same thing here at the stock market. Last time I checked, the highest gains Joe Biden has gotten in the stock market has been 35%. Donald Trump had 53%. Oops, again. Everything they come back with, they lie about everything. So even though the stock market numbers weren't as big because that was years ago, the gains were actually higher under Donald Trump than under Joey Biden and Cammie Harris. All right, so the last thing I'm going to talk about is Tim Walz lying about abortion. Now, this is the same exact lie Kamala Harris told. And this is kind of what I'm on. You know, if you want to dodge the question, if you're afraid to answer it, then change the law. It's literally that simple. Donald Trump said you support abortion in the 7th, 8th, and 9th month and post. Kamala Harris dodged that. I mean, she was freaking Mike Tyson up there, dude. She was bobbing and weaving. That question was going by left and right, and she was just refused to answer that question. Refused to answer it. Because if you really knew how the Democrats felt about abortion, chances are you probably wouldn't support them. But they're not going to let you know exactly how they feel about it because a lot of it's absolutely barbaric. So Tim Walz and J.D. Vance go to the debate. Tim Walz absolutely dodges that question. In his state, he signed into law that you can do abortions in the 7th, 8th, and 9th month. And there's actually 9 states in total right now in the U.S. that you can do that. And if during the 9th month, the baby is a botched abortion, the baby is born, they will let that child die. If you don't believe me, before you get up in a tizzy and start, oh, liar, liar, blah, 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 go to YouTube, type in Virginia governor 9th month abortion, and watch the video of him on tape saying that. This was the governor before they put Youngkin in. And he says verbatim, we will try to make the baby as comfortable as possible and the mother as comfortable as possible until the baby passes. So the baby's born. They're not reviving the baby. The baby's literally laying there suffocating. Exactly how are you making that baby comfortable? Tell you what, let me put a pillow over your head in front of your face and squeeze it as hard as I can. And let's see how comfortable you are. So I bet you're not comfortable at all. Now, the only saving grace is the baby does not know it's about to die. But it's laying there, its little heart beating away. And they're just going to sit there and watch the baby die. And before you get on your high horses, go watch the video of him talking about that very thing before you make your comment. So J.D. Vance was right. Donald Trump was right. Kamala Harris was wrong and avoided the question. Tim Walz was wrong and avoided the question. You know, and as long as, and like I said, you know, the young lady that died going to North Carolina because she was in Georgia and they wouldn't let her have an abortion. Well, she died from the birth control pill, from the abortion pill. That's actually what killed her. But it doesn't fit their narrative because I can tell you now, if the Democrats actually did a little research and quit watching The View and would learn about their actual beliefs on abortion, half of them would probably say, you know what, that's a little too much for me. That's a little too much. Now, I am never going to sit here and say you should do A, B, C, D. It's your life. Got to be honest. I don't care. You do what you want. The only thing I care about is my family unit. My wife, my daughters, my wife's mom. And sadly, my parents have passed. I care about my family unit. I have a brother and I got a sister. I got 2 sisters and a brother. That's what I care about. My insanely close friends. That's what I care about. Outside of my little circle, do whatever you want to do. I don't give a shit. I don't care. But if you do the right thing, then that means you have morals. And if you have morals, then I just can't possibly fathom how you could back the Democrats' abortion plan.